I am cow, hear me moo. I weigh twice as much as you, and I look good on the barbecue. Yogurt, curd, cream, cheese, and butters made from liquid from my udders. I am cow, hear me moo.
Greetings, this is Spec Ops 56 and my cameraman and all-around good guy, John. And this is part one of a new series that we're doing on making beef jerky for long-term storage. I got inspired to do this by one of my subscribers who was interested in wanting to know more about how I make my beef jerky to last so long. So I decided that instead of just replying to him, that I told him I would make a video showing what I do step by step. Now this is all about making your beef jerky for long-term storage, not for immediate consumption or for just for snacking, but specifically so it lasts a long time. And I've got some notes here that I'm going to refer to so I don't forget to talk about anything. And so the first thing I want to talk about is some of the basics of it. And the first thing would be dehydrators. Okay, these are my two dehydrators. When I started off making beef jerky back, I guess it was in the 80s, might have been the early 90s, doesn't matter. The first electric dehydrator that I got was a Ronco as seen on TV. And it worked. It was, I made quite a bit of dehydrated stuff with it. But because it did not have a fan, it took a lot longer to dehydrate stuff. So then, and the next one I got was this one. This is I believe this is a Magic Chef, and this has a fan. And I recommend the electric ones that have a fan like this, because and a little bit of heat, because that greatly increases the speed at which it will dehydrate your food. And that's good for several reasons. Obviously, so you get it done quicker, but also the sooner it dehydrates, the less chance of it spoiling. Okay, now this one here is a new one that I just got. It's a Nesco, and it has a fan, but this one also has adjustable heat, which is a good feature because you can adjust it to whatever it is you're trying to dehydrate, whether it's vegetables, fruit, whatever. So those are the dehydrators we're going to be using today. Next, I want to talk a little bit about the difference between making beef jerky for snacking and immediate consumption and making it for long-term storage. The difference is in the amount of dehydration that you want on it. Now, I picked up some of this Jack Link's commercial snacking jerky, and we're going to compare it to our long-term storage jerky. This is some of the stuff that I've had in the refrigerator for 9 years now. And now you can see on this, when you're making it for snacking, and this is why all the commercial stuff is like this, you don't dehydrate it as much. You'll notice that these bend and don't break. There is a lot more moisture left in the snacking jerky than you're going to want in your long-term storage jerky. See, you can obviously see the difference. Okay, this is how you want your jerky if you're doing it for long-term storage. This jerky left in the package would probably maybe last you a year, depending on how you stored it. I don't know. I've never really tried to store this kind of jerky. This jerky, I don't know how long it's going to last, but so far it's lasted for 9 years. All right. The secret to long-term storage of jerky or anything you're dehydrating, whether it's vegetable, fruit, or whatever, is you want to get as much of the moisture out of it as possible. Moisture is the enemy of long-term storage for food. Okay. The second thing that is specific to beef jerky, to meat jerky, that is a big enemy, is fat. The meat you want to use, you need to use the leanest meat that you can get. Now, normally I use top round, bottom round, London broil. Those are all essentially the same. And they're usually the least expensive cuts of meat as well. So that's a big plus. And you just want to have as little fat in them as possible, because the more the fat, the sooner it's going to go rancid. All right. Okay, now, so the meat that we got for today was some top round. I meant to get 5 pounds worth, but at the time I was at the store, all they had left was a little over 4 pounds, and so I got what they had. So we're doing 4.35 pounds, I believe it is. And I took some pictures of the meat and how I prepared it to go into the dehydrators, and I'll show you a couple of those pictures of what the meat looks like right about now. Okay. Also, when you have your meat cut, you want to have it cut to I have mine cut to about 1/8 of an inch thickness. I wouldn't go more than about 1/4 of an inch. The thicker it is, the longer it's going to take to get fully dehydrated. And so I usually do it about 1/8 of an inch thick. And here's a picture of what that looks like. Okay, now I want to talk about the marinade. Of course, you don't have to marinate your beef jerky, but it gives it a lot of extra flavor. So it just depends on what you want. If you're going to be storing it specifically to be able to use in making stews and soups and things later with your dehydrated vegetables, then I wouldn't flavor it. But for just something to eat later on, then go ahead and marinate it. whatever you want to do. Now, I try to use simple marinades. You can use commercial marinades if you want, or you can make your own. I tend to make my own because, like I said, I like mine simple, but I do like it flavorful. So I've got a couple of pictures that I'm going to put up here to show you the ingredients that I use for the marinade that we're doing today. I actually did 2 marinades. The first one was one that I made, and here's a picture of that. Okay, now as you can see, the ingredients that I used for the teriyaki marinade is 1 bottle of teriyaki sauce, 1 tablespoon of liquid smoke, 1 tablespoon of hot sauce, and just 3 or 4 squirts of honey. You don't want to use too much honey because you want it to be able to dissolve into the rest of the liquid and not get sticky. So I usually marinate mine overnight, and that's what I did for this. And the second marinade that I did, I actually had a bottle of some Lowry's Hawaiian marinade, meat marinade, that I had I'd intended to use it in a stir fry, and I'd forgotten I had it, so I decided to try it and see how it'll work out in jerky. But here's a picture of the bottle. Okay. That's it on the marinade. Now, I'm going to talk about the dehydrating process a little bit. First thing is that what I usually do before I put the meat into the dehydrators is I will towel it drier. What I mean is I'll use some paper towels and I'll pat it with the paper towels to try to soak up the excess moisture that's on the meat before I put it in the dehydrator, because that way it takes less time to dehydrate and it's a lot less messy in my dehydrators. So we're going to be heading into the kitchen here directly, and we'll be doing that, and I'll show you that process then. Well, we're in the Spec Ops kitchen now, and we're going on to the next step in our process of making beef jerky for long-term storage. Now, what I do, first of all, when I do the marinade, I put them in these Ziplocs and then pour the marinade on them, zip it up. Every once in a while, I'll move it around to help distribute the marinade among the beef. So, and then before doing this next step, when I take it out, I'll drain the excess marinade out of the bag, and that just makes it a little easier. Now, what I do is I'll get out a shallow pan and I'll line it with some paper towels. Then you just lay out the strips on the paper towels, and then just take some other paper towels and just lightly press the paper towels on. All you're trying to do is just get that little bit of excess moisture off of the meat before you put it in the dehydrator. So then just drop the pieces in there. Okay, and then I'll just continue with excuse me, with the rest of the meat. Eventually I'll change the paper towels that's in the pan when it gets soaked up too much, and that's pretty much all there is to that. So we will see you at step 3. Okay, now we're going to start loading up the trays. Now, one of the things I want to mention when you're loading your trays, you want to avoid having any of the meat overlap each other, because that's just going to make it uneven and drying, and it's going to take longer. So try not to overlap the meat. I usually try to do it with the longer pieces at the outer edge. And and you don't want to overload your trays, because you want to have, enough distance between them so the air can circulate. And if you have to, you can always cut your pieces to make them fit better. If you start running out of room on the tray. Okay. Find one shorter piece. There we go. Okay. And that's about as much as you want to put on one tray. And depending on how much you've got to do, you don't have to fill up, the tray completely if you don't have that much. So we're going to continue filling up the trays, and we'll come back when it's time for the next step. We got the trays loaded up, and we got it in the dehydrator. As you can see, we just had a couple left over after we got done filling all these trays, but that's okay. I do recommend that when you have something like this where you've only got 2 or 3 pieces left, put that on the top. Okay, otherwise it will get dehydrated a lot quicker probably than the other stuff, because it's closer to the heat in the fan. Another thing that I recommend is that once you've got it started going, that every so often you come back and you turn it off and you rotate the trays. By that I mean you take the top tray, put it on the bottom, and so on and so forth. That way it gets dehydrated more evenly and also quicker. Otherwise, if you just leave it, the stuff on the bottom is going to get drier first and on up. So that's my recommendation. Now we've got this here. I'm going to go ahead and put the top on it. Okay. And this Nesco has the adjustable temperature, which isn't really necessary. Like that one isn't adjustable, but it puts out enough heat. I've done, like I said, everything from beef jerky to vegetables to fruit in it, and it works fine. But this, if you've got an adjustable temperature dehydrator, then you need to put it for meat jerky. You need to put it on the highest temperature setting. Okay, So that's all we've done here. We're going to go ahead and start it up. And now there's nothing to do but wait. That pretty much takes care of part one of this series. I will come back, and when it's time to check the doneness, the dryness, when I rotate the trays and like that, then I'll video those for part two. Until then, this is Spec Ops 56 and my good friend and jerky eating guy John saying see you in part two.